Hi, everyone. Works? Great. So I'm Dan from Placense. I'll start off by saying that we have a new Twitter page, so if you have any questions, feel free to tweet. So I come from a background of digital marketing, a world where there's no click made on any website without the website owner knowing exactly where that click was made, where that customer came from, where he's going, and every piece of information needed to know about his journey. This created a very powerful online world that also created the word that we know as the retail apocalypse. But I see it as a retail revolution. It's a retail revolution, it's a real estate revolution, and it's a revolution in the world of physical foot traffic. We're solving a problem of lack of information for any businesses relying on physical foot traffic. Up to now, working on gut feelings, not really knowing where their customers or the potential customers are coming from. And to make this clearer, I'll start with a use case speaking about Edeka. We know that Edeka closed almost 300 stores annually because of lack of information. I'll take one use case, which is expansion. Up to now, if Edeka wanted to expand into a new location in downtown Hamburg, they would send out surveys, they would send out people to count manually, they would ask municipalities, statistical institutes, but in a way they use methodologies that have not changed in the past 100 years. And we're planning to disrupt just that. From now on, all Edeka would need to do is input an address anywhere in the world. Happens to be that this address is in a close proximity to Ereve, their biggest competitor, so let's add them also to the report. And now for the first time ever, we're creating a report, a physical report, on two physical entities showing physical behavior of physical people, understanding how often they come back, when they're there, for how long they park. We can extrapolate this data and get an understanding for the exact amount of people in every location and where they come from. And you know what? That's not it. We also know their gender, income level, if they have kids, if they have pets. We can understand how they arrived to a certain location. Was it with a car, with a bike, with a bicycle? And I know definitely here in Germany, you're sitting in your seat saying, hey, Dan, that's a little too much. And we know, it is a lot. I call this the privacy paradox, because on one hand, you may say, Dan, this is too much, but on the other hand, a lot of you business decision makers are interested in receiving this data to know much more about the potential assets. But on the other hand, data privacy is not just a buzzword anymore. It's not a trend. It's a make or break of any existing business. I'll explain to you how we solve this, but before going to that, one important statement, which is that aggregating and anonymizing data is not enough. And I'll give a use case to explain why this is not enough, speaking about a company you all know, Netflix. Netflix created or had a very interesting hackathon a few years back, where the main goal of the hackathon was to predict a rating of a movie. So in order to do that, they gave data sets of 100,000 ratings from Netflix and gave it out to developers to go onto that hackathon. But Netflix wanted to keep watch and guard of their customers, so they anonymized the data and said, go ahead. Two of the developers said, oh, that's very interesting, and took information from IMDb. IMDb is a rating website. In order to rate a movie on IMDb, you must put in your credentials. They linked both data sets. One was anonymized, one was irrelevant, and were able to come back to Netflix and say, hey, thank you for the data set. Now we also know who your users are. So by saying that, we understand that aggregating and anonymizing is not enough, and let's see what we do. We created a new algorithm that we call contextual privacy, where we know people, but not the individuals. We take the same data sets and change them, but make small changes. Small changes that make a total disconnection between the persona and their data. But because we're in the world of statistical information, the statistical information stays with no change. Meaning that before or after the change, The statistical information is the same. Even if I give you access to our database, no invasion could be to data privacy because data is no longer private. Now, I guess your next question is, okay, where do you bring the data? So we created technology that lives on this supercomputer that all of us have in our pocket, and we know how to make sense of the sensors. I'll give just one example, and that's the accelerometer. We can determine whether you're walking, running, on a train, in a car. And by using these sensors, we can determine much more information. We go to brand-agnostic apps. Each one of you have about 50 apps on your phone. 90% of them are free. The way for free apps to make revenues up to now was with a variety of marketing agents that unfortunately, because of GDPR, died. Meaning a lot of app owners do not want to take any additional risks with intrusive marketing agents. And we're now coming to these app developers and offering them a new revenue stream, a revenue stream that's not just GDPR compliant, but it's a revenue stream that allows them to monetize their data without jeopardizing or risking their data in any way. Currently, with over 650 million users from a variety of apps just waiting to put this technology, and a lot of players in the world of physical foot traffic and different verticals that are interested to get insights for locations anywhere in the world. My great founding team, I spoke about myself enough, Avi and Ofer, both came from leading companies in app monetization companies. They fully understood the problems and the challenges and the opportunities that now Placense give to the world, and on the other hand, give also to app developers to sell their products. Very happy to answer any of your questions, either offline or on Twitter or anywhere else. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure being here. Bye-bye.